Welcome back, Curriculum Mappers. If you've made it this far through the step-by-step tutorial, you're doing very well. Things are about to get complicated. So in this tutorial, we're going to look at how we can modify the script given to us via the file cabinet view to get just a little bit more data into it. For example, in this case, we really need to have the editor column because this is synonymous with the teachers, right? When we distributed the Autocrat unit planners to our faculty and staff, they were shared on it as editors. And with a few lines of code, we can actually have this sheet bring in and update regularly who has editing access to the document. Now, the reason you see Jim Reese, who is one of our members in this community as well, is that he is the current director of teaching and learning, and I have given him editing access to that entire folder. So that's why he's listed as an editor of all the documents. This allows him to very easily go in and make comments on those units, really emphasizing the collaborative nature of curriculum mapping with Google Apps. So before we go any further, we are going to do some coding together. So if you click on, in your file cabinet view, if you click on Tools and you go to Script Editor, you should get a pop-out, you should get a window that looks like this. It's a lot of code, and it may actually be, you may see the tools.gs file first. I'm not sure how it's organized in your end. This one you can actually leave as is. We aren't going to do any modifications with this particular piece of code. We are going to dive into this one. And to present this in an easy way to kind of see what's happening, I'm going to actually do a split screen. Just bring this over here, because the one you have should look a lot like this one. All right, so we're going to be able to compare and contrast what's different, what's the same, and then you should be able to successfully build in the editor column. All right, so again, the one on the right, this is the one that you have. The one on the left is the one I've adapted. So the first thing I did was, if you look down to rows 43 and 44, 43 is actually the headers of your spreadsheet, okay? So we can kind of see how that corresponds. I'm going to look here, title, ID, URL, image, type. Title, ID, URL, image, type. So these are direct one-to-one correlation between the header column. And the same goes for the row 44. These are the awesome table filters associated with those headers. Hidden meaning that it's invisible, okay? So what we need to do to get the editor column in is, after order infos or owner infos, all right, so we're over here on the right-hand side looking at what you have. It goes from owner infos to owner. You need to insert in the middle the editor header, okay? All right. Likewise, you will also need to associate a filter for the awesome table, okay? So in this case, I've added a CSV filter, and I'll explain more about the filters in a later video. So you just want to be sure that if you count over, all right, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if it's 7 columns over, I need to be sure that the filter that is 7 columns over is the CSV filter. And this is case sensitive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can do that on yours and make those adjustments. And all that's doing is, when you run the script, it'll populate the 7th column with the editor column, right? Now, we haven't yet ran the script to actually pull that information in, so we need to actually create that code together. So if we scroll down just a little bit further, let's go down to, on your sheet, this will be line 121, okay? So just after line 121, we need to put in some code that's going to grab the editor information. So, and I will paste this again in the community so you don't have to actually copy this down and write it and try to get this right manually. So I'll paste it in there. But what this code is doing, it's creating a variable called editors, and it iterates throughout that Google Drive folder, pulling in the names of everybody who has editing access to the curriculum units. So this is how we can easily filter by teacher name, because teachers are the editors of these documents. And it's great because you don't have to manually manage this. This is just done by the script. So you do that. That's going to tell this, it's going to tell this, the Google Sheet to populate the editors column that we established up here with that information. And moving further down, because we're still not done, and you may have to watch this a couple of times, we need to tell the Google Sheet where to put this information. And you can see down in row, let's look on the right-hand side because this is the one that you have. So in row 177, or if you already pasted that information in, it's likely closer to row 187. You'll see title, ID, URL, IMG, type, owner to display. We need to reference the editors here, all right? So this piece of code will actually write the editors to the Google Sheet. Without this, it's not going to show up. So you want to make sure you have this information after owner to display. So, and then to conclude and to get ready for a step later on in this project, we should also go back up to rows 43 and 44 and add the columns from your Autocrat sheet that you would want to have appear in this spreadsheet. So typically, I think in your case, it ends with size. Like size is like the last column that is actually automatically populated. And we need to create these other ones. So the way you do that is by simply adding those headers to the end of this piece of code, right? So after file size, you could put in a column for units. Actually, I'm sorry. Here it is. After size, you could add your subject area, grade level, cycle, end, course. So you could probably even avoid the whole cycles because you may not have an 8-day cycle calendar approach to ours. So maybe you just add subject area, grade level, course, and teacher is kind of redundant because you're getting that information from the editor as well. So all in all, I would say you could get by with just subject area and grade level, and it's nice to have the course as well. So those three things. And then you may, and this is normal. In order for those to appear, you may actually need to first delete everything in here and then run list files. Choose that folder again. It'll repopulate with the editor column as I have right here. So that's all I'm going to kind of cover in this video. I did make some other adaptations in the script, which I will address in a later video, because of the added code, some numbers need to change in here as well. But for the purpose of this particular assignment, this is really all you need. Thanks for watching.